We're over a quarter way through the WNBA season, so there's no better time to update my power rankings. Is Las Vegas still at number 1? Where do Indiana and Chicago rank? And should we be concerned about the Atlanta Dream? Today I'll talk about all of that and more. Let's get right into it. Even though Las Vegas has already lost as many games as last year, going 34-6 on their way to a WNBA championship, 3-6 this year, but in my opinion, they are still number 1 until they don't win a title. I believe the regular season just doesn't matter that much to them, honestly. They've won 2 straight championships. Obviously, it matters trying to figure out the chemistry with these new players on the bench, but overall, they're returning talent. A'ja Wilson's been incredible, so I'm not too concerned. Like, as long as they're in the playoffs and they are in a decent position and they're playing at a really good level, they're healthy, I'm not too worried. But their defense has been a struggle so far. They are number 9 in defense, number 2 in offense. They've been number 1 in pace again, but that's good. So I think overall, Chelsea Gray is back. I wouldn't be too concerned about their slow start, but yeah, Las Vegas at number 1. The team with the best record so far this year, the New York Liberty, are 15-3. They are number 1 in offensive rating, number 4 in defense. They are number 5 in pace, number 2 in three-point percentage, number 1 in three-point rate, and then also they are number 2 in rebound rate. The diversity in what they can do, they can shoot, they can score inside. The overall versatility, there's just not many holes with this team, and that's what makes them so great. And I wouldn't be doing them justice if I didn't mention Jonquel Jones's play. She's playing at a higher level than her MVP season in Connecticut. She is the only player in WNBA history, so far this year at least. This could change, but if the season ends today, she's the first player in WNBA history to have a 70% true shooting percentage on at least 3 3-point attempts per game. So, historic stuff from JJ. She's been incredible in defense as well, coming back from the injuries. This New York team is just a super fun group. They have so much size, depth as well, and they haven't even really been healthy either. They haven't had Nyarta Sabally up. They also haven't really had Courtney Vandersloot for stretches this year. So fully healthy, this team could win a title this year. I have them number 2, and you could argue that they should be number 1, but for me, I'm having Las Vegas number 1 until they don't win a title, but I could understand if you have them at number 1 as well. Yeah. If you saw my preseason power rankings, I couldn't have been more wrong about the Minnesota Lynx. This team is awesome. They're super fun. I enjoy just their level of positional passing. One thing I did undervalue with this team was I mentioned how they don't have a true point guard, and yeah, that is a concern, I guess, in terms of like playoff levels and like how the game slows down. Can they really play at a high level in the playoffs? But for me, with Minnesota's team, even though they don't have a true point guard, they have positional passing and plus passers at every position on the court. You can look at that even from down to Napheesa Collier and Alana Smith. They're just so talented, and their depth as well. There's basically no drop-off whenever they have to put their bench in. So even though they don't have a really traditional point guard, it doesn't really matter. Napheesa Collier and Alana Smith have been all defensive caliber players, and you can make a case for them as like defensive player of the year quality as well. They've been so good. I get so many, if you watch the NBA, I get so many like early 2010 Spurs vibes, mid 2010 Hawks vibes as well. Like, I'm not too sure this is a team that can make the finals, but they're a very good regular season team. They are built to dominate in the regular season, and they could possibly win a series or 2 in the playoffs if things go right with injuries. You know, Las Vegas or New York has an injury, I could see them making a title run. And overall, I was wrong on this team, I know. But I really do enjoy what Cheryl Reeve has done with this team. It's one of her best coaching jobs, in my opinion, as well. The Connecticut Sun are such an interesting team, and like I said in my preseason power rankings, just never doubt Stephanie White. She knows how to maximize talent. This team doesn't really shoot it that well. They have Ty Harris, they have DeWanna Bonner. Besides that, they usually don't have many shooters on the court. Dejanay Carrington struggled. Alyssa Thomas can't shoot at all, so besides having that deficiency, they don't really have it affect them. They play at a slow pace despite having some players that play an up-tempo offense, and that's where they excel at. They know how to slow the game down, use their defense to really take over the game and take control of the pace. And like, yeah, overall, this is a team that I believe is just really high-quality regular season team. There's concerns as far as the playoffs. If they can't really shoot it, they could really struggle to break 80 points in some games. Whenever you're playing against these high-powered offenses, it could be a struggle, but they've been fun, and I would say Stephanie White has been one of the best coaches again so far this year. Even though I have Seattle dropping from where I had them in the preseason, I had them at number 5 now, they were number 3 for me. This is not as much about, oh, Seattle is bad. It's more so, okay, Connecticut has been fun, staying with Minnesota, and these teams have over-exceeded my expectations. But for Seattle, I would say the biggest thing is how Ezzy Magbegor can change things on defense. She is the first player since Brittany Griner in 2015 to average 4 stocks in a season. Stocks, if you aren't familiar, it's just a cumulative stat of steals and blocks per game. She's doing so and anchoring this defense. Sometimes steals and blocks aren't really indicative of a good defender, but Seattle has been number 3 in defense so far this year. If they're around that mark, honestly, this is an easy pick for me for Defensive Player of the Year. Ezzy's awesome. Jewell Loyd has struggled. If Jewell can get more efficient, if she can just be like average efficiency, this is a team that probably leaves a couple spots. NECA's been fun. Skylar Diggins-Smith has been playing better. Jordan Horson is just so fun on defense. I've talked about it, and pretty much anytime I mention Seattle on this channel, I'm talking about Jordan Horson, one of my favorite players to watch in the league. So yeah, overall, Seattle is a team that I still think could make a deep playoff run if things go right, if they get all their players gelling at the same time. And for sure, much better than last season. They already have almost exceeded their win total as well. Similar to Seattle, Phoenix has already almost gotten more wins than they had last year. They're 8-8 so far this year. I would say they're much better than that 8-8 mark. They didn't have BG to start the year. And I would say how they can maximize their spacing around BG is so fun. Kalia Copper has almost doubled her three-point volume from last year. You also have DT, you have Rebecca Allen, Sophie Cunningham, and then besides that, you have Natasha Cloud, who is one of the best passers in the league, can create so many advantages downhill as a driver, and her defense being able to create havoc on defense, force turnovers. Phoenix is fun. They play a modern style of basketball, and there's just not much separation for me. Like, if you want to make a case that Phoenix is the 3rd best team in the league by August, it's certainly possible. Minnesota, Connecticut, Seattle, and Minnesota are all tier 2 teams for me for a reason. They're all so close, and it's just about gelling at the right time and having everything come together when playoff time comes around. Chicago is one of the biggest risers for me from the preseason. I had them number 12 coming into the year, and they are 6-9 so far this season. With Chicago, the biggest worry is just shooting, but besides that, Angel Reese's motor is generational. And then for Kennedy Carter, she is one of the best finishers in W history. She has been one of the best finishers in the world over the last 3 to 4 years whenever she's on the court. She's averaging like more points at the rim than any other guard since 2020 when she was drafted. One of the most efficient finishers as well. Even though she's not the greatest shooter in the world, she is just a wrecking ball downhill. You know she's driving, but nobody can stop her. The deceleration, the finishing craft, the bounce as well. She gets so high on her finishes as well. The cutting, off-ball movement. Kennedy Carter is so fun for me. And this Chicago team is a team that I would really enjoy in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to get past the first round, but they have a bright future, I think. As I predicted in the preseason, this Indiana Fever team is very fun on offense. They can score with the best of them, but their defense is very, very bad. They are number 5 in offensive rating, dead last in defensive rating. They are number 3 in three-point percentage. They are number 5 in three-point attempt rate. They play with a lot of pace. I would say this is where I expected them to be as this 8 seed. They struggled early, but I would just say that's a factor of playing so many games in a short amount of time. They played a really tough schedule early as well, so they've really settled into this team that I believe could make things difficult in a first-round matchup. I don't think they'd win a first-round series, but when you have Caitlin Clark, when you have Aaliyah Boston, Alyssa Smith, who can score 20 points any night, you have a chance to steal a game or two, and ultimately Indiana is not a contender. They are a few years away from being at that point, but when you have Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, that is a very good foundation for what your future can look like. And then for my tier 4 teams, maybe next year, these are teams I would have outside of the playoffs right now. At the top of this tier, I have Washington. Even though they are 4-13 and they have a worse record than Atlanta, they've been super impressive for a team that didn't have or hasn't had Shakira Austin or Brittany Sykes so far this year. in a lot of games. So for Washington, they are number 10 in offensive rating, number 6 in defensive rating. They are also 4th in three-point percentage, 3rd in three-point attempt rate. Washington is a team that's going to have Atlanta's first-round pick next year, which could look nice alongside having their pick. But I think Washington has a bright future. They've been able to give their young players developmental reps between Jaden Melbourne, Aaliyah Edwards, even Emily Enksler has been able to get on the floor and have some good games and build some confidence there. So even though they are 4-13, the vibes are just much better than the team I have at number 10. The Atlanta Dream are certainly a basketball team. They are a basketball team. Not a particularly good team. I could probably go 5-10 minutes on the Atlanta Dream just because this team is so fascinating and not in the good way. But for Atlanta so far this year, they are number 12 in offensive rating, which is awful for a team that has as much offensive talent as they have. Number 7 in defense, number 10 in pace, which is awful for a team that was, I think they were 1 or 2 in pace last year. Number 8 in three-point percentage, number 8 in three-point attempt rate, and number 8 in rebound rate. Basically, they're not good or even average in any of those categories. I had them 6th heading into the year. I'll cut them some slack for not having Ryan Howard right now. Jordan Canada has just gotten back from her hand injury. So even despite that, this is a team that should be much better than they are. There's just so many things wrong with this team from a philosophical standpoint, I believe. They play such an old school style of play. They don't run any pick and roll. And outside of that, also, they don't really know how to maximize their talent, I believe. They run so much post-ups whenever they are an awful post-up team. And the off-ball movement's terrible. There's just players standing around all the time. Their transition defense is bad. There's just so much overlap in talent as well. They have five post players that all occupy the same areas. There's not much spacing. There's not much advantage creation in terms of players that can put pressure on the rim, can draw players in, make kick-out passes. Alicia Gray's a good athlete, someone that can score at the rim, and is pretty diverse. Has a pretty diverse shot profile as well, but she's not great passing out of double teams and passing out of drives. Jordan Canada can't shoot. Haley Jones can't really shoot. I would say Jordan Canada shot last year, but I would say overall she's not someone that you're going to go over on screens, if Atlanta ran screens, that is. But I think overall, Atlanta's a team that should be much better than this. I would just say that Tanisha Wright has some work to do with this team to get them to a place where they could be more competitive than they are. It's bad right now. Los Angeles Sparks are number 11 for me. They were 11 coming into the year, so this isn't a surprise for me. They've been number 11 in offense, number 10 in defense. No Cameron Brink is going to be huge for them. I would expect them maybe to fall a couple spots from there in terms of their defensive rating as well. Rakia Jackson's had some good flashes. I know the defense has been a question and has caused her to be on the bench a lot because Kurt Miller just wants her to really hone in on the defense and just be more consistent there. I think she can get there, but right now that's been a struggle for her. But I would just say for Los Angeles, not having Cameron Brink is rough because that was the most exciting thing about this team. They have some players that have been fun. Ari McDonald's had some good stretches. Stephanie Talbot's been fun. She's been able to do some stuff for them off the bench. So even though they are 4-13, they're a fun and interesting 4-13 and a team that will certainly be in the Paige Becker sweepstakes come next year. I was skeptical coming into the year on Dallas, but even me having them at number 7 coming into the year, I did not expect them to be this bad. They are 3-13. They can't shoot. They're number 12 in three-point percentage, number 9 in offensive rating overall, number 11 in defense, number 8 in pace, and they're also, they're number 3 in rebound rate. But it's not a great team. An Enrique-led offense or an Enrique-led system, this heliocentric offense built around Enrique, is just not conducive to winning, honestly. But it's not just Enrique's fault. Even if they just had Satu at 85% health or even 50% health, this is a playoff team. But with Satu out, if I was Satu and I was the Dallas Wings, I wouldn't even risk it bringing her back this year unless she's like 100% healthy. She's feeling like the best she has in years. If not, I would just say rest up and we'll see you come training camp next year. with Satu, she's the face of your franchise. I know she is a free agent after this year, but you would hope she re-signs with Dallas. If you are Dallas, they have Chicago's pick. I'm pretty sure it might be swap rights potentially there, but they're going to have a chance to get Paige Beckers, Kiki Uriolfin, Janiah Barker, Olivia Miles. They're going to get someone good in this coming draft. So despite not having a great year here, there's a reason to have some optimism about their future. If you made it to this point in the video, I'd appreciate the subscribe button for more WNBA content. If you have any ideas for things you'd like to see from me in the future, whether that's around the draft, that's around the WNBA season, WNBA history type content as well, I've enjoyed doing that as well. So just let me know what you want to see more of in the comments below, and let me know what you think about this ranking. What would you change? What do you agree with? And yeah, I'll see y'all next time.